Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into a really critical question facing our legal system. Can a jury made up of everyday people, a traditional jury, actually deliver a fair verdict in a super complex cybercrime case?
So let's start with a question for you. I want you to imagine you're sitting in the jury box, but the key piece of evidence isn't a smoking gun or an eyewitness, it's thousands and thousands of lines of computer code. Could you honestly, confidently decide if someone is guilty or not?
You see, our whole justice system is built on this really powerful idea of a jury of your peers, using their common sense. We all get theft, right? Someone takes something that isn't theirs. But what happens when the crime is cyber espionage? The evidence itself speaks a totally different language, a language that needs a specialist just to translate it. And that right there creates a massive problem, what we're calling an expertise gap, right in the middle of the courtroom. And this gap isn't just a theoretical problem, it could absolutely lead to huge miscarriages of justice, where guilty people walk free, or even worse, innocent people get convicted. So today, we're going to break this whole debate down.
Okay, let's dive right into part one, the expertise gap. I mean, just how complicated is the tech we're actually talking about here? And what makes it so different from anything juries have to deal with before?
Well, the core argument is that, we already have a blueprint for this. We've accepted for a long time that some jobs just require special knowledge. Think about a coroner. A coroner has to have deep expertise in both medicine and law. You can't have one without the other. The argument now is that computer technology has pretty much reached that same level of complexity.
And the source material we're looking at puts it pretty bluntly. It says the field is now so massive, so deep, that it's just unreasonable to think an ordinary person can grasp the key issues. It's kind of like asking someone who's never even opened the hood of a car to figure out what's wrong with a Formula One engine. And just to give you a sense of scale, look at this number. In just about 14 years, the code behind Microsoft Windows just exploded from 6 million lines to over 50 million. That's not just complicated, it's like a whole hidden universe of digital commands, a city made of code that even the most expert computer users never, ever see.
And this just shows you how it all works. Writing software isn't one single action. It's this long, highly technical journey. Now, in a trial, a prosecutor might have to prove criminal intent at any one of these very specific, very technical stages. How is a jury supposed to follow that?
Okay, so we've laid out the problem. It's a big one. So what's the solution on the table? Well, that brings us to our second section, this modern idea for a modern problem, the concept of an expert jury.
So, what is an expert jury? Well, the main idea is pretty simple. Instead of a jury of your everyday peers, you'd have a jury of your expert peers. We're talking about people with proven tech skills who are randomly picked from a pool of qualified professionals, just for these kinds of highly specialized cases.
And what's really fascinating here is that this is not some brand new radical idea. Way back before the 13th century, special juries were actually pretty normal in English law. You might get a panel of fishmongers to decide a case about rotten fish. The practice eventually faded away, but now, because of technology, the whole debate is coming back.
But of course, this isn't some magic fix. It comes with its own set of really big challenges. For one, could these experts become too professional, losing their independent judgment? And then there's the interesting idea that many IT professionals have personality types that are great for logic and solo work, but maybe not so great for the kind of rapid, collaborative, and sometimes emotional work of a jury. These are definitely serious things to think about.
Now, at this point, a lot of you are probably thinking the same thing, and it's a really fair question. Don't we already have a way to handle this in the courtroom?
Right? Why not just use expert witnesses? We bring in specialists to testify all the time. So why isn't that good enough here? Well, the source material we're looking at draws a really, really critical line in the sand.
And here's that line. Expert witnesses are, for lack of a better term, hired guns. They get paid by the prosecution or by the defense. That means they are not neutral. By their very definition, they are part of the battle, there to help one side win.
An expert jury, on the other hand, would be totally non-adversarial. They wouldn't be there to argue. They'd just be an impartial group that can actually understand the technical stuff and explain it to the court. Their goal isn't to win an argument, it's to find the truth.
Well, let's make this real. A defense lawyer hires an expert who gets up and says, hey, maybe an intruder just used my client's open Wi-Fi to do the crime. To a regular jury, that could sound totally plausible. It could easily create reasonable doubt. But a panel of tech experts? They would be able to really dig into that claim and decide just how likely or unlikely it actually is.
So look, this isn't just some academic debate. This is a real problem that legal systems all over the world are trying to figure out right now. So for our last section, let's take a look at what the path forward might be.
And as you can see, there is no easy answer. The UK lets experts sit on regular juries, but then you worry that they'll just dominate the conversation. Malaysia got rid of jury trials completely, but, judges aren't necessarily IT gurus either. And Australia is in the middle of this exact debate right now. Every single approach has its pros and cons.
At the end of the day, the goal is to protect one of the most fundamental ideas of justice, a fair hearing. And as technology gets more and more complex, the argument is that a non-adversarial panel of experts might be the only way to actually make sure that happens. And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. This isn't really just about cybercrime, is it? As technology gets tangled up in everything we do, the real question is, how do our most basic systems, like our justice system, have to change and evolve just to keep up?